President Trump is defending how he got $287 million in debt forgiven after failing to repay his lenders. In a tweet, he says, quote, "Doesn't that make me a smart guy rather than a bad guy?" This comes after new revelations from the New York Times on Trump's tax records, and they report the vast majority of that loan was related to a 92-floor skyscraper in Chicago that was completed back in 2008. Trump had hoped to turn the property into another one of his real estate marquee dwellings. But he defaulted on his loans, and he sued his biggest lender and largely avoided paying taxes on it. Former IRS Chief Counsel Attorney Philip Hackney is with us now to discuss this. Thank you so much, Philip, for being with us. Just help us understand how this works. How is it that banks could forgive a loan that size and then lend Trump even more money?
Yeah, it's a really strange thing, right? I think the interesting thing about this, the first iteration of the story was Trump managed to pay no tax for 10 of the last 15 years, according to the New York Times reporting. And lots of folks were trying to figure out how he might do that. It looked like he lost a lot of money. This confirms that losing a lot of money, right? But how did he get the banks to do something like this? Well, when you do a large deal like this, unlike normal folks out there, your viewers out there, you borrowed money, the banks are going to come after you. You're probably going to have those dollars forgiven on your tax returns. Trump managed to mostly avoid it. There are some various provisions of the tax code, particularly that were made liberal around the 2008-2009 financial crisis, that allowed him some space to exclude that money from income, even though effectively what happened is the bankers gave him $287 million. He didn't pay it back. He was $287 million richer, but didn't have to pay tax on the vast majority of that. So it's an odd thing. It shows his business acumen's not that great, but he's pretty wily once he gets into a fight with bankers and others.
And CNN actually tried to ask Trump about his financial dealings back in 1990. So I just want to play part of this interview.
Let's talk about what we talked about yesterday. Those in the financial community I'm talking about, and we talked about this on the phone, who have said, and this is them saying it, not me.
This is them? What do you mean by them? This is one or two people, and what about the positive people?
5 or 6, but the ones who said negative things, and
here we are.
Well, we've got to talk about that.
Back to the negative.
Back to the negative.
Back to the. You know what? Do this interview with somebody else.
Well, we talked about this yesterday on the phone. This is exactly what we talked about.
Do the interview with somebody else. Really. Yeah. You don't need this. Do it with somebody else.
I disagree with you. Sorry you feel that way. There's nothing that we didn't discuss on the phone, Donald.
Are his maneuvers legal? I mean, he certainly doesn't want to talk about them. Are they legal, though?
Yeah, so when you negotiate with a bank and you argue that you didn't know the money, there's nothing illegal in terms of trying to get your bank to take a haircut, as it's called in the business. In other words, they're going to forgive some of that debt. Nothing illegal about that. It doesn't appear on the face of the reporting that there's anything illegal here. Some of the things he had to do as a result of being forgiven and not taking that money into income was to include it, in a sense, in future income tax returns. So in some sense, he had to pay the piper in the end. I think he's more touchy on these things because it shows that he lost money. He entered into this crowning achievement of building a 92-floor skyscraper to do the Trump International Hotel, and it turned out to be quite a failure. But I don't see anything explicitly illegal as far as we can tell. There were some things in the past that have been discussed about $50 million of that debt or some debt that seems to be associated with those towers that he owns. Folks think he might have been doing something there. I don't see anything in the reporting that tells us that that is the case, that there's something going on. From what I can tell from the story, I don't see anything illegal going on. Aggressive, yes, but not illegal.
Maybe not the best business, but not illegal. All right, Philip Hackney, thank you so much.
Thank you.